Evening. It's good to be up here tonight. It's always a treasure to be able to get up and share a message, share part of God's Word. Trying to scan the audience real quick to see who I can and can't tell stories about this evening. See how that works. I'm looking for someone that has a birthday today, a good friend of mine, but I'm having trouble finding. Thought about maybe leading us all in happy birthday from up here, but maybe that's not such a good idea. Today is Father's Day, a very special holiday, if you will, a time where we can honor and celebrate the things that fathers do and the things they mean to us. I don't have a lesson tonight about Father's Day, however. Fortunately, Willis touched on a Father's Day lesson today, so I feel a little better about that. We're going to see. I don't know how prepared I am tonight, I'll be honest with you, but we'll try to get through this. I figure if I go short, we get to eat sooner. And we also have more time to set up for VBS, so I really don't know why I should not go short, so we'll see how this goes. You know, there's a saying that says, quantity is better than quality. I'm sorry. See, I messed that up. Quality is better than quantity. That sounds a little better. Of course, that's probably something that someone just said that didn't have a lot of quantity. So we'll go ahead with our lesson, trying to think about, what I should talk about. Got a little, if you will, inspiration last week. I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Willis was up here. He had a chance to maybe call out, if you will, some people and some of the works they do here at our building. There's really a lot of things that happens behind the scenes, things that nobody ever thinks about, don't realize that go on, and it's good to see that those things can get pointed out from time to time. I was trying to think about some of these things that happen in front of us. If anybody's here this morning, we had communion. We had the bread, we had the juice, and you may not think about, but where does that stuff come from every week? A lot of people don't really realize that there is someone that does that. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and someone who's obviously very dedicated to seeing that gets done. Something that really, that's why we're here on the first of the week, is to remember the sacrifice. That's something that's very important. Another thing I saw just yesterday, actually, I saw a list we've got that has a list of filters that are in this building for our HVAC system. Anybody that has a home knows that you've got filters that need to be changed so that your systems can run efficiently, properly, effectively. But to be honest, that's something I'd never really thought of, is that who changes the filters? Who does, there's a lot of maintenance around this place that people do that we don't just pay someone to come out and do, but that we've actually got members to do. And just the time that someone is put forth to find where the filters are at, write it down so that we know this is what needs ordered, this is where it goes, this is what we need. And there's just many, many more things about that. So I got to thinking, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about service. In my mind, these are all things that people do to serve the Lord, serve the church, whatever it may be. And as you notice in the back, we've got the beginnings of our VBS back there. One of the greatest opportunities we have to serve throughout the year. And we're probably, if you will, some of the most services done. Just the man hours that go into that, teaching classes, preparing, whether it's in the kitchen, the auditorium, all around there's places people are doing things that a lot of us probably don't even realize that go on, but that are very important and very vital to making a successful VBS. So tonight I'm going to talk about service, servant, serving, kind of all go hand in hand. Starting off looking it up, seeing what is service. If you look it up in the dictionary, contribution to the welfare of others. That's service, doing something that benefits somebody else. To be of use, that's a servant, someone that is of use. So we're going to look at some verses tonight, talk a bit about what really service means and what service is about. If you'd like to follow along this evening, the first verse I'm going to go to is in Romans 12. You can turn there if you would like. So first off, the first point is that we are called to serve. We can see many examples in the Bible where service is something that should be a part of a Christian's life and something that we should do. Starting off in Romans 12, there in verse 1, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. So here it's talking about giving your life over to God and do God's work, and this is the way that you are able to serve. Later on in that chapter, we see another verse, Romans 12 and verse 11. Not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. So here we already see a couple examples of where we're called out to serve the Lord, and that's supposed to be part of a Christian and a Christian's life. If you want to go over to the Old Testament, we've got a couple verses we'll look at there. Deuteronomy 10, verse 12. So again, talking about service in Deuteronomy 10, verse 12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. So he's telling us here that with everything we've got, we should be serving the Lord. Use all of our ability, everything that we can to serve the Lord. We've got one more verse, a famous verse, maybe you don't know, it comes from the Bible, but it does in Joshua 24, a little later in the Old Testament. Joshua 24, verses 14 and 15. Now therefore, fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So here they're being told in the Old Testament that make up your decision. But here we see it says, me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So we see a couple instances here, and throughout the Bible you can find many different places where people are called to serve, and we can see examples of serving. So we know that it's for sure an important part of our lives and something that we should be a part of. Secondly, I want to bring up that serving is something that everybody can do. We've got a couple verses. If you'd like to flip over to Ephesians 6, verse 8. Ephesians 6, and verse 8. Knowing that whatever good anyone does, he will receive the same from the Lord, whether he is a slave or free. Okay, and then we've got another verse. That's just talking about, more so it's talking about servants, slaves, and as though, even though they are slaves, that they should still be serving. But just kind of example that no matter what position you are, that serving is something that you can do. We see in Mark 10 and verse 45. We can see this many places, but here's one in particular that it talks about the greatest servant and the, if you will, the premier example of serving. Mark 10 and 45. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. So like I said, there's many opportunities we see where Jesus served people throughout his life. And it says here that that was his purpose, was to come and serve. So even the highest made service part of his life and was something that he was deeply a part of. And then we've got another passage that many people are probably familiar with. We'll go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. First Corinthians 12, a little bit of a lengthy reading, but a lot of good stuff. We're going to go ahead and read 12 through 23. For as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. For in fact the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the body be? But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need for you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need for you. No, much rather these members of the body, which seem to be weaker, are necessary. And those members of the body, which we think to be less honorable, on these will bestow great honor. So this is an example. To me, this is a lot of what service is about. There's many things that can be done, that need to be done, and there's many different opportunities to serve. And like it says here, no one position is greater than the other. You know, we see people preaching, praying, singing, teaching, but just because you're not out in front of somebody doing something doesn't mean you can't serve. And as it says, it's all got to be done. There's a place for everybody to do something, and I think that's something that we need to look at is, you know, what can we do? What are we good at? Where can we serve? Like I said, in the back we've got some decorations for VBS. Those decorations took a lot of work and needed to be painted and a lot of things done. And that's an example where you wouldn't think of, well, I'm a painter, what can I do? Well, there's a need for that at times. Also, yesterday afternoon, we were working on VBS. There was someone out mowing the yard. Now you think, okay, well, that's something that obviously needs to be done. We may not think about who gets it done, but it's obviously an important thing that needs to be done around here. But mowing the yard is a way to serve the Lord. So I think it's important that we can look at things like that. You know, what can we do? What can we do well? Where are areas that I can serve? We've got a member, probably several members here that can work on cars very well. You know, we've got a couple church vans out here that need regular maintenance, but that's a way to serve God. So when it comes to serving, there's, like I said, many different areas, and it's just, we need to look at it as, what can I do? Where can my talents be used? And not even look at it as a burden so much, but how can I serve the Lord? Because in the end, that's really what we're doing. We're serving the Lord and trying to further His word. I got one more point. There is a reward for service. We have an example of that in John, if you'd like to go over there to John chapter 12. So we can read in John 12 and 26. If anyone serves me, let him follow me, and where I am, there my servant will be also. If anyone serves me, him my Father will honor. So it shows an example here of it. It says that we will be rewarded for the service that we give to the Lord. So try to wrap this up. Basically, three things that we need to remember is that we are called to serve. It's part of our duty. It's part of what we need to be about as Christians. And it's something that Jesus and God have told us to do. Secondly, there's opportunity for everybody. Like I said, we've got a VBS this week. If you're not busy this week, you can be used. Just come up here, and I'm sure there's someone somewhere that can find something that you can do, and you can help serve. And lastly is that our service will be rewarded. We are being watched, and we have a Father who will reward us for what we've done someday. So we have an opportunity this time. If you have any need, if you haven't been baptized and would like to take that first step so that you can serve and be a part of the body and receive that reward for your service, or if you have any other needs, we just ask that you come together as we stand and sing.